Hello and welcome again to a special edition of On the Couch following the announcement of the All-Australian Awards. We've got a number of major guests coming up. Hayden Ballantyne, Dyson Heppell from the Essendon Footy Club and of course Alistair Clarkson joining us very shortly. But let's find out the views of Jason Dunstall who joins us. Michael, welcome back to you, Jason.
Thank you, Jared. Good evening, Mike.
Hi, Jace. What did you think of the lineup?
Oh, I thought it was a brilliant team. As always is the case, you can make a strong case for half a dozen players to be in. The hard part is making a case for who should be out.
Now, who, when you saw the team in its entirety, who did you feel for? Who did you think had been not treated poorly, but was most unlucky?
The one that stood out the most to me was Luke Parker.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because I saw a lot of Sydney this year, and I thought Luke Parker not only had good numbers, I thought he impacted games, strongly impacted games, kicked goals when they needed goals. I thought he was the one that perhaps may even have been most stiff to miss out.
I was really disappointed for Matty Priddis. Yep. I think at some stage he continued to knock on the door. The door's got to be open for you.
Well, the same applies to Eric McKenzie, Jared.
There must be a rule against Eric's being in the All-Australian side.
Well, you've been an advocate of his for quite a while, and he was runner-up in their BNF last year and probably had as good a year this year. And I say I feel for him a bit, and I certainly feel for Glenn Jakovich because he's got to go back to Perth and he got none of his blokes in.
He's in trouble.
I also think just from the balance for the side, there was 3 or 4 ruckmen, in my view, had strong seasons. Mumford won the best and fairest up at the GWS.
Jacobs was good.
And Sauce Jacobs has been disappointing once again.
Goldstein gets unders, I reckon.
He does,
I think Goldstein's a really good player and would have to be in that mix.
He does, but to be brutally honest, one's more than enough, if not too many.
Well, you wouldn't have picked one, would you? You'd leave a vacancy there, wouldn't you, in the ruck?
Have an extra runner.
Jason, you got 4 All-Australian jumpers. You won every award known to man, bar one probably, but put that into perspective.
I think the All-Australians are a really great honour to receive because it's reflective of the season you've had in the eyes of everyone that analyses the game to be considered consistent enough to have performed over a 22-round season. I think it's a terrific achievement for all those players.
You're the specialist of the gold square. I have a feel that Hawkins was unlucky. I'm not sure whose place he takes, but do you think he was a deserved member of the All-Australian team or the team of the year?
Yeah, I found it interesting because they spoke a number of times, the selectors, about specialist positions. I'm not sure Buddy Franklin's a player out of the square. In actual fact, I'd say he's more a centre forward than he is a full forward. And Tom Hawkins would have been the perfect player to play out of the square, or a Jay Schultz.
Let's break it down by club representation, and you can see at the top of the pile, Sydney have got 4, Franklin, Kennedy, Malcheski and Smith. Fremantle with 3, Hawthorn also with 3, Essendon 2, Adelaide a couple, Port Adelaide as well, and then a number of single representatives.
Tell me this, how does North Melbourne get the preliminary final weekend they don't have a player in there?
Well, who would the player be? Now, that's a legitimate question, but it does prove the evenness of this group.
It does.
I don't think that there's anyone been harshly treated at North.
No, but a lot of players had good seasons. Brent Harvey had a good season. I think Cunnington had a really good season. There's probably a few others as well.
And an innovation this year, the players are receiving blazers for the first time from one of the greats of the game in Wayne Carey.
I think it's good. I mean, you were a 5-time All-Australian. Have you got anything to show for it?
No, only record books. No, I think it's a good innovation. Whilst they're probably not going to be worn out to any nightclub soon, Jason, I suspect that they will put them in the cupboard and bring them out with pride at some stage.
A nice memento, isn't it?
Mike, it's a powerful side. It's in many ways it's unfortunate it doesn't play anybody, but I know one bloke who'll be really pleased is Alistair Clarkson. He's coaching the international rules squad, and this year now you have to be an All-Australian to be eligible for it.
I agree with that. I think it was overdue, that initiative to sort of say if you're the best in the best team of the year, then you're eligible for this team to represent Australia.
Well, I think there was criticism last time, and rightly so, when they not having to go to the Indigenous side that was taken over, but there are a lot of players in that team that weren't regulars at club level that are all of a sudden getting an Australian jump.
Well, you wouldn't believe who's just wandered in, Jason. The All-Australian coach himself, who will be coaching the international rules November 22nd over in Perth. Welcome to you, Clarko.
Yeah, thanks, Sherry. Yeah, Mike. And
hello, Clarko.
It's a big week coming up for you, but let's talk about the international rules. It was a major campaign to get you on board, and you took it, and you seem to relish the opportunity.
Well, I think it's a great concept, Jared, and pretty excited with the talent that's been selected tonight, because that's some of the talent that we're going to select our side from. And you know, we were also fortunate to be able to select some of the previous All-Australians from past years too. So we're wanting to put together a really good squad, and we think it's a great concept to be able to represent your country. You know, in our game, there's no state of origin footy anymore, so the next best thing is to actually represent your country. So great chance.
You've got a big job before this game. You've got to convince the cynics in the community that this matters, that you care, and that the players will care.
Yeah, well, I think the AFL have done it smartly, Mike. They've gone to the players and asked for their commitment, and a lot of the really important players or key players in the competition have suggested that they'd love to play in a game like this. And it's a little bit like the dream team of the US many years ago when the really great basketballers of the US came together. You know, the Barclays and the Jordans and those types of guys. And we're hoping it can be a similar sort of thing. You know, I think for whatever reason it just waned a little bit the representation of your country in international rules over the last couple of years. But we're really excited with this concept, and we've got some great players who've committed to it, and got myself and Rossi Lyon and Chris Scott, who are obviously committed to helping these guys produce some pretty good footy.
I'm amused that it's called International Rules Series because there's only one game, so it's not a series. But how does that chemistry work now? Because they're tremendous coaches in their own right, Rossi Lyon and Chris Scott, who have both just missed out in the second week of finals. How will the chemistry between the three of you work?
Yeah, we've actually spent a fair amount of time with each other over the last little while, because there's been a revamp of our Coaches Association. There's a real unity amongst the coaches about where we want to take the game and help out the coaches in their pathways and their futures. And so we've had a lot of contact in the last few weeks. And we had a dinner at Gill's place, which was pretty well documented. But so I'm really looking forward to the chance to sit down with Ross and Chris and talk about footy rather than issues surrounding footy, but looking forward to learning about their philosophies and how they go about coaching their sides, and also coaching some pretty unique talent in our game too. So really looking forward to that opportunity.
Now, I'm not up to speed with the way the games will be played, but they have made some rule changes. What are the key ones?
Yeah, well, they've made some adjustments in terms of the rotations. I think you can have 15 rotations a quarter. I think there's going to be some sort of ruling over the amount of times you can handball, as well as the distance you can kick from kicking in. So some slight adjustments to the game, but by and large, it's a challenging game for us in particular, because we're going from an oval-shaped ball to a round ball, and our guys aren't particularly used to that, whereas the Gaelic boys are. So the rules are probably stacked a little bit in their favour, but we've got such fantastic competitors, and Australians love to compete, and we're going to select the side that want to win.
Clarko, let's turn to the minor matter of a place in the grand final. Cyril Rioli, we're 4 days out. Do you expect him to play?
We're cutting it a bit fine, Precious, aren't we?
It's back to Precious, is it?
He's we're running it pretty tight, but we've been really pleased with his progress, particularly over the last 2 weeks, and he's really close to be able to perform and play this week. So we need to get through another training session on Thursday. And
is that full bore? Is that flat chat Thursday?
Yeah, we'll monitor that, how he's progressing through the session, and if he feels like he can let it go, then he will, and if he can, then he's a really big chance to play. But we need to assess him throughout the course of that session and make a really difficult decision. He hasn't played a lot of footy or any footy for 10 or 12 weeks, so it's a big decision for our footy club.
Sorry, mate, just before we leave Rioli.
I want to follow up on Rioli.
Okay, well
so do I, so get on with it.
All right, if he misses this one, do you want to ask that?
Go on,
okay,
you ask it. No, you go.
If he misses this one, is he still in contention for the grand final if you get through?
Yeah, I'd think so. I mean, he's a very special player, and I'm sure there wouldn't be a person in the land that doesn't want to see Cyril Rioli run around if we were fortunate enough to get through this week without him. But we're hoping that he'll be able to train later this week and be able to prove his fitness for this week's game. But if he doesn't come up for this week, as long as he doesn't hurt himself, then you'll certainly be in contention for next week if we're fortunate enough to get through.
What's exciting for us is probably the stuff of nightmares for you, but the Port Adelaide small forwards just so exciting to watch, multi-talented and match winners.
Yeah, and they caused us a bit of grief in our last outing over in Adelaide Oval too. I think Monfries kicked 3 or 4 that night, and Wingard got 3 or 4 as well. So, and Robbie Gray got a couple, I think. So they're an outstanding forward structure. I mean, right across the board, both forward lines of both Hawthorn and Port Adelaide have been the 2 best offensive sides in the competition, and yeah, they've got, I think, 5 or 6 players that have kicked 25 goals plus, Port Adelaide. So multifaceted forward line, and if you do happen to close down their smaller forwards, it's likely that Schultz or Westhoff or someone will pop up as well. And that's the beauty of really good forward lines, that they can kick a winning score no matter who you try to shut down. The
flip side of those small forwards that they have is that Hawthorn's back 6 doesn't contain a lot of shut-down forwards, shut-down defenders. The lock-on, particularly small defenders. So how do you tackle that?
Yeah, well, our back 6 has always worked together as a pretty solid unit, and it's probably unlikely that at any given stage, you know, any one of our defenders will play on locked onto one bloke for the whole game. We'd like to be able to hand over at different stages in games, depending on which angle the ball's coming into our defence. So our back 6 work particularly well together, and that's had a real benefit for our side over the course of time. But how it actually unfolds on Saturday night, we know we've got our work cut out, because they're a very, very dangerous forward line, and our boys in the back end need to do some of their best work.
We just had the announcement of the Virgin Australia All-Australian team. If you were the sole arbiter of who got in and who didn't get in, would you pick 2 ruckmen? Because you seem to be a great advocate of having a couple of ruckmen and Jared Ruffhead.
Yeah, well, it's a difficult one, because there's just so many guys. I mean, there's 40 guys that, in my view, could have all been All-Australian. There's probably 3 or 4 others that didn't make it, that we're quite surprised that didn't. So it's a really, really difficult job. In past years, they've gone with the 2 ruckmen, and they've left out a really, really talented midfielder or flanker or something. You thought, how didn't he make the side? And this year, they've chosen to go with just the 1 ruckman, probably thinking that Big Ruff can do a bit of work helping him out if need be.
Did you go to Perth to watch the Port and Freo?
Yeah, I sat up on level 3 in a haze of purple. Did you? You ever sat in the 3rd tier of that?
I have, actually. They reserve that for the people from the over of the east. But you need to do the do you not, because the perspective is so different when you're at the ground.
Yeah, listen, I'm really pleased that I went to the game, because we haven't played Port Adelaide since round 10, and I hadn't seen them live. They've played 1 game at the MCG this year, I think, and I couldn't go to that game. So and plus they played at Etihad, but I hadn't seen much of Port play. So as it turned out, I certainly didn't expect at half time they were going to win. You know, like Fremantle were playing such good footy early on, and but as it turned out, I'm really pleased that I did go to that game, because I hadn't seen a lot of them play over the last little while.
So what were Freo able to do to dominate that first half, albeit not on the scoreboard, but to shut down Port for half a footy? What were they able to do?
Oh, I think a big fella had a pretty big influence on the game. Like Sandilands was the most influential player on the ground in the first half. Now, whether he tied or they came up with some strategy to nullify his influence, but he was nowhere near as influential in the second half, and it meant that the Port Adelaide midfielders were not so much able to get on top, but at least equalise some of the contested ball situations that were through the middle of the ground, and that enabled Port to get the game played in their half at different stages. And I thought Fremantle still had their chances, but it just seemed like whilst both sides still went inside 50 in not too bad a fashion in a reasonably equal fashion for stages of the third quarter, Port were able to score when they had their opportunities forward, and Fremantle just couldn't nail some of the chances that they had in that quarter.
You've always been very giving when you come onto the couch, Alistair. Is Langford going to go to both?
We'll have to wait and see with that one.
We'll have to wait and see. Someone's going to tell you, are they?
Well, You reckon I'm going to tell everything, do you?
Yeah, well, that's what we do. It's open here.
No chance, Precious.
One of the challenges, I think, is their ruck, Jules. They go in with one nominal. Westhoff goes behind the play if, in fact, they lose the run, and Trengo can also go into the ruck. Westhoff seems to be one of their barometers. Do you run with him and have a bloke go with him into your defence, if in fact, or your attacking area, if in fact he goes down there, or do you just hold your defensive structure and let him do his thing?
Yeah, well, it's a great dilemma and something that we'll debate pretty firmly over the next couple of days, because if you do take a player with him and he goes into our forward line with him, if he does go behind the ball, then it once again opens up another opportunity for them, because they've got more space in their front half, and it's exactly what they want too. So it's a dilemma one way or the other, and it's really good coaching and really good use of their players, and it's one of the reasons why they're a top side this year. And Westhoff's been very, very influential. You know, as well as playing behind the ball and at different stages in the ruck, he's kicked 39 goals or 40 goals for the year, which is an extraordinary effort, and he's probably really stiff. I'm not even sure if he made the 40, did he? But he's had a fantastic season, and he's a little bit like Ruffy. He's so flexible with the way that he can play the game. He can be behind the ball, he can go into the ruck, he can play as a midfielder, and he was a pretty important player for Port Adelaide on the weekend against Fremantle.
You got Box Hill through to a grand final. They won their prelim on the weekend. You got McAvoy playing well there. Suckling didn't play on the weekend. Is he an automatic inclusion? How many changes do you think there might be for the Hawthorn lineup?
No, not automatic. We've got a pretty difficult selection dilemma over the next couple of days, because McAvoy's been terrific, and we've got 3 ruckmen, and they're all. We could just throw them up, and whichever 2 happen to drop, we could. It's really like a golf game, Michael, and the golf ball's coming out, and it's just see who partners up, because all 3 of those guys have played some really good footy in more recent times, and we've also got Suckling and Rioli, of course. So in a sense, it's a good problem to have, but something we're going to need to debate a bit over. We've got a fair idea at this point in time, but we'll have a bit more discussion probably early on Thursday morning, and before we and then wait until training happens, and then make some decisions on Thursday afternoon.
I'm on the Broadbent bandwagon, and the extension of that, I wonder why people don't lock down on Bircham more than they do. Are you happy to let Broadbent just run free and set them up the way he's been doing?
Yeah, well, he's been a pretty important player for Port over the course of the year. But they've had some other guys too. Pittard's really developed. Polek's played a little bit at half-back as well. Holmes just played some really good footy in that type of role too. So, if you look to try and cut down one, they've got someone else that can step up into that role. So that's the beauty of the Port Adelaide side, in a sense, is that they, if one guy's covered, and it's the same with their midfield. It's one of the key reasons why they're playing off in a prelim final, is the flexibility to play a number of roles, and if you shut down one, another one bobs up to play a pretty important role for them, then it's a pretty crucial reason why they're such a good side this year.
Did you think the Boomer Harvey decision was the right one tonight?
I think it's good for the game. I mean, everyone wants to see the best players playing in the later stages of September, or all of September really, but he's been a great player for a long period of time. Dubious decision, of course, because he was given a week, and then that's been overturned this evening, but good for the game that our best players are playing in the last part of September.
Did the decision surprise you? Did the decision surprise you, the fact that the appeal was upheld?
Oh no, not really. I mean, it's a hard one, because I don't think the contact was significant, but it was head-eye contact, and it was something that we're wanting to wipe out of the game. But it was pretty innocuous. So I'm probably not a great judge on it, to be fair, and it's just difficult to probably judge the consistency of it from one week to the next. But
no, it's not difficult. It's impossible.
It's good for the game, however, that our good players are playing in the last part of September.
We've got to wrap it up, Clarko, and I won't ask you who's going to win the flag, but can you give us a Brownlow medal tip at least?
Oh, yeah, well, I really like Robbie Gray. I reckon he's had a super year, and we're going to have our work cut out trying to stop him this weekend, but such a flexible player, kicks goals, goes to the midfield. I think he's their highest clearance player, believe it or not, in their side, which is a pretty special effort for a guy that's kicked over 40 goals as well. So
who plays on him?
Not sure he'll get him. Probably a number of players, Mike, but he's been a great player, and it wouldn't surprise me that he takes home Charlie, probably with a couple of other players as well.
Well, good luck for the rest of the finals campaign, whether it be 1 week or 2. Thanks for having so much time with us tonight.
Yeah, good on you, Jared. Thank you.
Clarko.
Thanks,
Alistair Clarkson, our special guest, and we've got another one coming up after this. Hayden Ballantyne, All-Australian for the first time. He'll join us on the couch.
The shimmy, the shake, and does he put it through? Bounces it on its end.
Ballantyne. What a goal that was.
Look at Ballantyne. He looks at Rivers and he says, you're a little old. Young and unsneaky. Ames lets it rip. Oh, Ballantyne. Ballantyne's lurking again. Here's his moment. This will bring them to line. Yes. And now Ballantyne's awake.
He is one of the great characters of AFL football, the small forward for the Fremantle Dockers. Hayden Ballantyne kicked 49 goals this year, and he's picked up his first All-Australian blazer, and he's wearing it. Welcome to you, Hayden.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on board. We've spoken about you for a long time. We've tried to get you on for a couple of years. Chris Bond keeps on knocking us back, though.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to come over from WA for the show, but yeah, it's great to be in. It's actually one I like watching, so it's an honour to be here.
Hayden, give us an update on the broken jaw, and I also would love to talk to you about, I'm very partial to a forward that tackles. I think it's absolutely brilliant, but is there a technique issue you need to address? Because I saw you do it a couple of times in the same game. You're so ferocious in your tackle, but you've got to get the head out of the way first, mate.
Yeah, that's something Ross spoke to me about after I had the surgery and that. He said, something's got to change. I've got to turn my body or go in a bit less with my head, more with my arms, because I can't miss games with any more broken jaws. So it's swelling's going down slowly, but it's still a little bit tender.
So wisely, you didn't play at the weekend, but you're watching your team 6 goals up. I bet you were thinking about playing this weekend.
I was always going to try to play the following week.
But I'm talking about when you're in the state of the game as it unfolded, you looked like you had a stranglehold on it, didn't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The first half we played our brand of football. We were ferocious with the ball, ferocious pressure, and it was a pleasure to watch. And unfortunately, we couldn't keep doing that in the second half.
So, first All-Australian, even though you've played outstanding seasons before, do you rate it as your best year this year?
I'd say it's my most consistent year. I think I've played some okay patches here and there, but I'd say my consistency wasn't there, and I was pretty happy to play a good brand of consistent footy all year.
And how much freedom does Rossi Line give you to push up the ground to get involved, particularly sometimes when the ball's not coming down there as often as you'd like?
Yeah, you don't get much freedom with Ross. But, as a forward, you have to be an outlet sometimes for our defenders. So there's, a forward pocket, it's just a tag. You play all over the ground. I've got to try to get a couple of rebound 50s every now and then just so I keep getting the game. But everyone has to be able to run everywhere on the field.
You deserve to be congratulated with the way you've come back this year. There was a lot of attention on you on grand final day. You would have been disappointed with your own form. How heavily did that weigh on you through the summer?
I suppose, I would hope my effort's there no matter what, but that was a little bit more of a driver for me. It was disappointing. I get paid to kick goals and I didn't do it on the big stage. So obviously I was a bit dirty on that, but I pride myself on playing as best I can every time. So during the summer, during pre-season, I work hard all the time, I'd hope.
Were you driven by that? Did that sort of get into your soul, the team loss and your form on grand final day?
No, I would hope I'm known to be driven all the time. Obviously I was disappointed with the loss, but it's just another learning point for me, something I had to work on, and I suppose be a bit more mentally stronger.
I think there's two ways of looking at it. I thought you were pretty harshly treated after the grand final performance, because it's one thing to miss goals, but you were at least creating the opportunities, you were hitting the right spots, you were getting the ball. Now, you missed a few, as did some of your teammates. You saw it happen again on the weekend, and it probably cost you a prelim final. It's the one area of the game that we haven't seen great improvement in, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think, excuse me, the jaw clicks every now and then.
Take your time, mate.
Yeah, so grand final day, I had 4 or 5 shots and kicked 2 points. So I was trying to get in the right spots and give myself the best opportunities, but it didn't fall my way. And my set shot routine was something I worked on during the summer. That was one thing that I was really driven on, was my set shot routine, and I think I tidied that up a bit. But as you said, it's goals win your matches, and if you don't kick them, you suffer the consequences.
Defenders also can win your matches. You had one over there on the weekend. Did you speak personally to James Frawley?
Me? No, I didn't. I only seen it on the front cover of the paper the next day. But he's a great player and he's up for grabs. So,
is there another year left in McFarlane, and is Michael Johnson going to recover over the summer?
Well, Luke, firstly, I'd hope so. Everyone knows he's a great player and he's a great asset for us. But it's his call, and everyone will respect his call no matter what. But it is only, there are minor injuries or like small soft tissue things that you can overcome fairly quickly. So I'd hope he would. But it's his call. And Michael Johnson, he's had the surgery. He's recovering as best he can. He's staying home and staying away from the boys. So if we get a bit silly, but he's doing the best he can to get ready for a big pre-season.
Before you leave us, have you got a flag and Brownlow tip for us?
It's actually been the last thing on my mind for the last few days, but I'd say Sydney. They're the front runners at the moment. They got some major weapons down forward, and they got a great midfield and a real strong leadership group. So that'd be my tip. Brownlow. Who do I want to win the Brownlow? Who do I think is going to get the most votes?
Who'll get the most votes?
That's the big one.
Your teammate.
Toss a coin. If Gazza can hold on, that'd be great for him. If Joel Selwood comes over the top, he's had a great year too.
Do you think Fyfe would get the most votes?
I don't know. He's a chance. He's a great player. He takes the big marks and gets noticed for his marking and goal kicking. So he'll definitely pull some votes.
It is the season of beef or chicken with a lot of nights on. What did they have for you with a straw?
I was trying to get through some salad and beef before. It wasn't working for me though.
Well, great to have you on board. Finally, we've got you over here onto the couch, and we celebrate your effort this year. It was fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Hayden Ballantyne, our special guest, and Dyson Heppell not far away on the couch.
Fantastic, mate. Thank you very much.
Welcome back to the Royal Exhibition Buildings here in Melbourne for a special edition of On the Couch following the announcement of the Virgin Australia 2014 All-Australian side. Named on the wing is Dyson Heppell, and he joins us on the couch. Congratulations, Dyson. All-Australian in your 4th year. It's a magnificent achievement.
Yeah, good on you guys. Thanks for having me on. Very, very proud at the moment and honoured to be in this side. And, it's very humbling standing up there alongside some of the best players in the league.
What's your thoughts about receiving a blazer? It's the first time it's been done. You got it from one of the greats of the game.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's a fantastic concept. Old Sammy at Sam & Co. whipped them up nicely. So, I think it's great. You can sort of get the years that you've played on it. Yep. I think Gaz's is nearly full already. So, I think it's a great concept.
Jace, I'll tell you what sort of year he had. He was ranked #1 at Essendon in averages for disposals, contested possessions, hard ball gets and loose ball gets. That is a comprehensive.
Finals, so that's reasonable.
Yeah. So you've got to be very proud of what you've done. You've reached a new level this year.
Yeah, well, I suppose so, Mike. It's been over the last 4 years a steady progression, and I think playing consistently in the midfield this year has been something that I was striving for at the start of the year, and I'm very proud of the season that I put in.
What about the extra attention that you're starting to get now? No doubt in the eyes of taggers, and there are some very good ones in the competition. How did you handle them?
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting getting a bit more attention, I guess. There's certainly nothing much about my game that I had to change too much, but learning from Joe Watson and working a lot with our midfield coach Simon Goodwin really allowed me to sort of thrive off those situations.
Dyson, I love your enthusiasm. I reckon you can categorise blokes when they come into your footy clubs as either energisers who bring heaps of energy to the group, or sponges, those who take energy away from the group, and they rely on everyone else to get the mood up. I've known you as a young man. I've interviewed you a number of times. You're always up, and I think that's a great advantage to have if you're a coach of a footy club.
Oh, well, I guess so. It's, you know, I love footy. I love being everything there is to do with it, and you know, I don't see why you should be down and, you know, around the footy club. And, you know, it's a really enjoyable place to be. And, you know, if I can sort of be up and about and try and bring others with me, I think that's a good thing.
Josh, you played, I think, 10 days after your hand operation.
Yeah.
With a plate and screws in it.
Yeah.
Did it hurt?
Well, I'll be honest, it's a bit tender, sort of leading into
swelling
the game.
on it
Still a bit chubby, but yeah, I think.
Did it jar when you took the footy?
Sorry?
Did it jar? You know?
No, it didn't really jar. There was, you know, there was a little bit of restriction in clenching a fist and handballing, but apart from that, there was, you know, when you get out there, it sort of leaves your mind, and it certainly didn't bother me too much.
I take it the plate's still in, and you'll have to have another operation to get that out. When will that be?
The plate is still in. Not sure what the plan of attack will be, whether I get it out or not, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah.
What's your gut feel surrounding Paddy Ryder? What do you think he's going to do?
Yeah, tough call. You know, a lot of the boys have been in his ear trying to get him to stay, and we're certainly hopeful he will still stay at the footy club, but he's obviously seeking out other opportunities at various clubs, but certainly would love it if Paddy could stay, but you just never know.
You had a great start against the Kangaroos in the first final. It was no one saw it coming, least of all Essendon players. Yeah. It must have been devastating to walk up the race after that, knowing that the season was over.
Yeah, for sure. It's sort of come down on us like a ton of bricks after that second half, and you know, after playing so well in that first half, and it was just a game of completely different sides. I think that second half, North were fantastic in the contest, and we just really dropped away. So it was very disappointing.
If you're talking about hope and excitement looking towards the future, to see Joe Danaher play perhaps his best game in a final,
yeah, no
I reckon
doubt.
That's the biggest tick you could get, isn't it?
Yeah, no doubt. He was fantastic. You know, it's probably the first real time I thought this guy is going to be a star. Sort of, you know, you sort of knew he was going to be, but he actually dominated that game and sort of felt like he had a real presence on the ground.
Can I have a one-word answer to this, Tyson? Did the political chaos weigh heavily on you personally this year?
No.
Okay, thanks.
Dyson, we haven't got long. Can you give us a flag and a Brownlow medal winner?
All right, a flag, I'll go with Sydney Swans. Brownlow medal winner, Joel Selwood.
Boys, what about a Brownlow medal winner from you two distinguished gentlemen? Because we'll have another show next Tuesday night before the last week of the year.
I'm with Dyson on Selwood. I think Selwood will win.
I think he will, but I also think Jordan Lewis will poll particularly well. A little bit biased, but he's going to get a lot of threes.
Well, we'll wait and see whether or not you're good judges. Dyson, thanks for your time tonight, and congratulations on your first All-Australian award.
Fantastic.
That's all we've got time for tonight. We'll see you next Tuesday for another edition of On the Couch.